Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Bulls facing a must-win game tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. We're also going to ask, is AK or Billy Donovan more to blame where the Bulls currently sit? And we're going to end the show talking about Bulls Fest. We're going to get into all that and more right after this. Okay, hold on. It's not playing the intro.
You
Locked On Bulls intro just went away.
Locked On Bulls,
hey.
home of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
Shout out to that. No intro being played today. Pat got us covered today. Hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. Member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze.
And the intro.
Yeah, and he's also the intro. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. We'll get that figured out here in a second. But nonetheless, Pat, Bulls tonight, Charlotte Hornets, not to necessarily preview the game, but overall with the Chicago Bulls and where everything sits right now, how important is this game for the Bulls?
Every game the rest of the season is a must-win kind of game, right? Kind of, right? Like it's like I said before, it depends on what you're aspiring for. Pat Bev came out, right, and he said, I'm not worried about getting the 8th seed. I'm worried about playing a good brand of basketball. And I thought that was really interesting of him to bring out, because here's the thing. If the Bulls are playing, like Pat Bev said, a good brand of basketball, guess what? If you go into the play-in and you win a game and then you win another game, you're in the playoffs. If you get into the playoffs and you're playing a good brand of basketball, you'll be able to continue winning. The problem with the Bulls is we've seen them play a good brand of basketball over this last little stretch since Pat Bev has been there. But there have been moments where it's lapsed, right? There's been moments where, and I think that goes all the way up. Like we'll talk about AK and Billy, but it goes all the way through this organization of the consistencies that they're actually going to be able to put on the court. I look at that Lakers game. The Bulls comeback was led by DeMar DeRozan's defense. It was phenomenal. I love to see it. The inconsistency part came kind of towards the end of that game where they just couldn't get anything going offensively. And then finally, when they could get stuff going offensively, they couldn't get a stop. So every game to this point to me is a must win. Just to get yourself in the rhythm, in the heading into the playoffs of, we have to play this like it's our last game every single time.
And that's exactly what the Bulls sit right now. Everything, you got 6 games left on the season. You cannot allow yourself, just because you have a 2-game buffer with the team below you and a 3.5 game buffer between the team below them, to make you think that you can take it easy. The Bulls cannot overlook anyone. And especially when you look at a Charlotte Hornets team that's won 3 of their last 3 games in a row and 4 of their last 5, albeit 2 of those games in a row were against the Dallas Mavericks, who right now are struggling, bro. The Dallas Mavericks are Bulls West. That's what we're going to call them. They Bulls West.
Kinda, yeah.
With better talent on that. So
that's actually tough. But kind of. Dare I say a worse head coach, though?
Definitely. Oh, for sure. Come on now.
Jason Kidd's pretty bad.
Jason Kidd's pretty bad. Yeah, Jason Kidd's pretty bad. But the Bulls have to be locked in every single game. I know we've been saying that for about 3 weeks now, and they really do. Like, now you're in the final 6. The last thing that I would want to see the Bulls do is lose a game against a team like the Charlotte Hornets, and then that be the game that separates some things. Like, you want to come in, you have to take care of the teams that are supposed to be below you. Supposed to be. And I say that with the Bulls playing like crap most of the season, and they've been playing right on par with any bad team. But the Charlotte Hornets were the first team in the Eastern Conference statistically eliminated from the play-in or playoffs. You cannot. PJ Washington's been balling. He's averaging like 30 points per game in their last 4 games. Shout out to him on that. But you cannot let this Charlotte Hornets team come in and just outwork you with their youth. You cannot allow that.
Yeah, man, really, really overcame the whole Brittany Renner thing. But I just feel like what I
can't say the joke that I want to say. I can't say that. We're on Locked On. If you would have said that on Chicago Bulls Central, it would have been a completely different deal. But I can't say what I want to say.
Hey, sometimes you just got to overcome. You know what I mean? Hey, shout out PJ Washington. But like I was saying, I I think the biggest thing coming into tonight is to not overlook, right? Like and I don't think the Bulls have over this last stretch. Here's the thing at the end of the day. The Bulls have played better in the second half since Pat Bev has been here. We can say that. The Bulls have also still had moments of those lapses. The Bulls have also still lost certain games based on just the fact that they're not a better team, right? Listen, when they went up against the Lakers, every Chicago Bulls fan in the building went into that game saying, Pat Bev called Bron Small. We're probably going to get killed in this one. We're probably going to get ran through in this one. You know what I mean? Like,
also, Brittany Renner.
It's not a surprise, right? It's not a surprise that we lost some of these games that we've lost. Clippers is a little bit more annoying to me than anything because they just looked lifeless in the second half of that game. But I just feel like, right, like we can't expect the Bulls, right? Our dream was the Bulls go 18-5 over this last stretch.
Yeah. It
was a dream for a reason. We didn't expect that. Our realistic was they probably go somewhere around 15-8, 14-9, something like that, right? And that's probably where the Bulls are going to finish out their season.
Yeah, and I mean that's just is what it is. And so, you know, while I'm impressed, I like the way that the Bulls have played and they've battled since the All-Star break. Shout out to all that, but the Bulls still got a lot of work left to do. We cannot rest easy. We cannot take anything lightly. This is a Chicago Bulls team that is disappointed a lot, and almost every time we need a win, or almost any time we get a streak going, we respond to it with a couple of losses in a row. I need to see the Bulls finish this last part of the season out strong, and this is really the last easy game on their schedule. We go right to Memphis. Then after Memphis, I can't remember who we face, but it's a tough schedule to end the season. It doesn't get any easier for the Chicago Bulls, and so they need to be locked in. They need to get wins where they can, and they got to take care of business tonight. But we also need to see them start building in that playoff type play, meaning that you got to come in and just execute. You have to come in with a game plan, and part of that is on Billy Donovan, which we'll talk a little bit about in the next segment. But you got to come in with a game plan, execution, and the energy that you realize that you are fighting for your life every single game from here into the rest of the season. You have to play with that level of energy.
Yeah, 100%. They have to. I don't know what more we expect from them, right? I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how much deeper they're gonna be able to dig. Hey, shout out Brittany Renner. But I just think that yeah, you know, you have to. You have to play above what we've seen on a night in, night out basis. And I will say, right, like it does fall a lot on Zach LaVine's shoulders, right?
Yeah.
Zach LaVine coming out and giving us 16 points, that can't happen.
Yeah. I will say, though, tonight, I need to see Nikola Vucevic abuse a rookie because Mark Williams is on that other team. He's their starting center right now. You got to come out and you have to embarrass because welcome to the NBA, young fella, because Vooch is too savvy. He's too versatile of a scorer. I get it. Mark Williams is a guy that I wanted the Bulls. He was number one on my draft board this year.
Been here before.
Hey, but you gotta come in and you gotta put some work. And we don't know if Andre Drummond, he's listed as questionable as well, but we gotta see Vooch come out here and Billy Donovan too has to have a game plan where he attacks the rookie Mark Williams. You have to. We've seen it done when we've had rookies out there attack the rookie.
He a different rookie.
That
boy's a monster.
It's like
he's a monster.
He started off. Right, like he started off in like his second year. We didn't even know it. Like he played a whole year. We didn't know. Mark Williams. This is why he was number one on my draft board for the Bulls last draft. Yeah. You know, and if it wasn't for a trade, we probably would have got him. So
yeah, him and LaMelo going to be disgusting together. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm looking forward to watching that.
I don't trust them being dangerous together as long as Michael Jordan owns that team. So until that changes,
that might be changing, but more so Steve Clifford coaching that team. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that too. Which I think that will change along with better ownership. A smarter owner is going to come in and be like, listen, shout out Steve Clifford, but you got to go, bro. Like, what are you here? What is your job here? You coach?
Steve Clifford badge just never stops working. He just always can get into the Charlotte facility, right? I'm still here. All right, cool.
All right, y'all. So next up, we're going to talk about and ask the question, is AK or Billy Donovan more responsible for where the Bulls sit right now. But first, before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about FanDuel. The tournament is heating up, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to the point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, Pat, we got to get into it, man. Shout out to P-Kid. Great topic. Who do we view as being more to blame for where the Bulls sit right now in their season and everything that's going on? The front office and AK and Eversley, or Billy Donovan? Where do you sit on that, Pat?
Oh, I mean, there's plenty of blame to go around, right? Like, honestly, but I want to say I lean more towards Billy for not putting out lineups that match up well with the lineup going across from him, especially with how much he's changed this starting lineup throughout the season, right? Like Caruso's in the starting lineup. You watch Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis be the front court on the other end, and you countered that with DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, and Vooch. But I also don't want to see Marco in there. I don't think Marco can play at the NBA level. Like, or I don't know, right? But every time we seen him get out there, he kind of gets pushed around. It's only been like a couple of times.
Kinda. I was about to say kinda.
It's only been a couple of times.
Last season, he got more dunks than minutes on him last season. That's tough.
Well, this season, the few times he's gotten in there, it's kind of been the same thing, right? It's like, go do something down. Oh, you're like, I thought you added that muscle in. You're like,
is Marko Simonovic going to be the center version of Antonio Blakeney when it comes to the G? Because G League, he's putting up numbers.
Antonio Blakeney got ticked. Antonio Blakeney got NBA tick. Antonio Blakeney has like multiple 30-point games in the NBA, I believe.
Is that real? I have to go over that game log.
I'm pretty sure Antonio Blakeney has multiple 30-point games in the NBA. Antonio Blakeney just didn't pass. Like, he didn't get the team involved. Like, I wanted Antonio Blakeney to be good.
Bro, I wanted it for – I saw for Antonio Blakeney.
And apparently they like him because he was sitting in the skybox with Luol Deng, Carlos Boozer, Joakim Noah. And I was like, what the heck is Blakeney doing there? Like, what's going on there? Like,
why are you here?
Bodies don't match up. But no, I just I probably would lean more Billy Donovan because I think there is a lot that you can do with the lineup structure that you do have. And I don't think that he does enough with it on a consistent enough basis. I don't think he swaps guys in and out fast enough. Even if your starting lineup is right, I'm going to throw Alex Caruso out there. I could have watched for the first minute and a half and been like, maybe I should throw P. Will out there. And he did get him out there pretty quick in that last game, but there's been times where we've just been asking for him and he just doesn't get back in the game. But I think there's a lot to be said on the fact that this team doesn't have shooting. There's a lot of open looks that this team generates to guys that don't knock down shots. And so while I want to lean Billy, I still have it's honestly right, like 50-50. I could convince myself either way. I'd say 51-49 one way or the other, depending on the day.
And here's how I feel on it, right? And this is going to be unfair. I agree with you, everything you said about Billy. I don't want to take away everything you said about Billy. Spot on. Billy definitely shares part of the blame in this. Absolutely. And as a coach on the floor, the lack of adjustments, the lack of developing players, a lot of that does go to Billy. But here's the thing. AK hired Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
AK did decide on this roster.
Yeah. AK
decided to bet on the players that are here. So, I mean, ultimately...
They extended Billy Donovan.
And it gave Billy Donovan an extension. He still has not come out and even said happened or admitted the years. So, to me, yes, Billy Donovan for the coaching that happens on the floor and some of the miscues and not using players correctly, not going to the hot hand. He absolutely deserves blame for that. But overarching, AK, you are the president of basketball operations. everything flows downhill. So everything that you see on this team and you do not adjust and you decided whether it was a Reinsdorf decision or not, Billy Donovan had an extension. And as I've said before, I'm not the biggest Billy Donovan supporter at all. Me and you got into a huge argument over Billy Donovan on this show.
I'm not a Billy Donovan supporter. That's exactly. The word. That's the wild part about it.
Yeah, we both arguing about somebody we don't care for. But the thing in this is that if he is going to be your coach, if you are going to extend him, then guess what? He needs to have a roster that is conducive to whatever style of basketball that he plays. Yep. That's your job. He's the coach here. I can scream all day, should he or should he not be the coach? He's the coach. So if you're not going to give him the best roster that possible, like you said, Marco, I had hope for Marco. That hope dwindled every game that went by that the guy couldn't even get an NBA minute. We are not at the place where we can have players on this roster that are getting paid NBA contracts. He's not on the G League or a two-way. He's on an NBA contract that can't perform and give us something for this team. That's an AK thing.
I agree with you on that. I will say that, right? Like I have to hold that same energy for AK that I held for Ryan Pace. Ryan Pace's biggest sins, of course, were some of the player personnel that he selected. The biggest sin of all. That's tough. Jesus Christ. He's done pretty well.
He's done pretty well. He's done pretty well.
But I think the biggest thing with all of it is, right, like my biggest gripe with Pace was you're watching this guy destroy your young quarterback and you're doing nothing about it. I don't think Billy Donovan is destroying the talent on this team. I don't think that it's as egregious as Matt Nagy was, but I do think that there's a lot to be said on you can tell that this isn't working. How long do you hold on to it? Now, granted, it's only been 2 seasons. I'm somebody who's also very big on, I believe in continuity. Guess what? Giannis worked with Jason Kidd starting things off. Although I will say this, I want y'all to go back. Jason Kidd broke his jump shot. Giannis, not that he was shooting at a high percentage, not that he was shooting at a high percentage, but his jump shot was fluid. When he was a rookie second year, fluid. Jason Kidd broke his jump shot. But anyway, I think, right, like you have to go through those growth spurts. You have to go through the struggle times to get through the great times, right? Like Jason Kidd got him to what? A first round exit, basically? I think that's as far as they got. Did they ever make the playoffs? But they made the playoffs with him, right? He got to a first round exit. I know they made the play. Did they play us? They played us, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
They played us because is that when Dunleavy went nuclear?
That is when Dunleavy did.
When Giannis hit him with the you dig at the end of it because he was cooking him so bad. He hit him with the little bow at the end of it because he was cooking him so bad.
By the way, I just checked. So Antonio Blakeney never scored over 20 points in the NBA. 21 points, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Never mind that.
And he had 4 20-point games.
That is a wide spectrum, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like he's never scored over 20 points, but in the G League, this man has 77 points in a game.
Oh yeah, like in the G League,
I think he's got like a 55-point game. Remember, KD tweeted out like, "Hey, how's this guy not in the league?"
Yeah, well, there you go, KD. That
was what struck a nerve with him. But I think at the end of it, right, like you look at Billy Donovan and what he's done, and you look at what AK's done, and yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm one that's for continuity, but you also have to add to the things that we're talking about having continuity with.
That's fair.
And there's no way that Zach LaVine should be driving to the bucket, bringing 3 guys down on him, and he kicks it out to Ayo Dosunmu for an open 3 and he can't make it, or kicks it out to Kobe White, or kicks it out to Goran Dragic when he was here, or kicks it out, right? Like we can name so many names on this team of guys that just haven't knocked down shots. And guess what? You want to know when his Bulls teams look the best? 110%? When mugs are making threes. That's it. That's the answer.
Yeah.
And maybe some big men. But when mugs are making threes, it just opens everything up for this team.
It does. And that's why me and you both, we really did give DeMar his props for when he was taking more 3-pointers and hitting them at a decent clip. It really did help. On top of that, Zach LaVine being more dangerous from 3. Like, shooters and some legit size are the most important things. Well, it depends. We don't know what's going to happen. If Vooch leaves, that changes something. We still need size. We just need to double down on it even more at that point. But I'm looking really at AK. If we're doing anything and judging either one going into the upcoming offseason, I'm looking at AK. And not to say that it's all on AK. Billy Donovan's coaching still absolutely going to be a problem in sometimes in some matchups, but we have to look at AK and say, and he's even said this, like he alluded to the fact of, oh, well, basically look at the fact I brought DeMar Alonzo in here. I got creative. We didn't have any cap space and I'm still able to bring them in. Cool, AK. Yes, you did. You did that. We need you to now go and do it again. Because we live in a very much a what did you do for us lately society. And the last thing you did for us is you told us to bet on continuity. And we sat there as Bulls fans and watched this team struggle with shooting, with size. And how many games did we just lose to simple math because the other team takes more high volume threes. And no matter how many high quality twos the Bulls take, it's two is less than three. And that's shot the Bulls in the foot so many times this season.
And I'm be honest with you. We're not even asking for a lot. What did we really ask for? Give us a point guard. You got us Pat Bev, and all of a sudden the Bulls look like a completely different team. Give us a point guard. You went into the trade deadline with Kobe White, who's on an expiring deal, with Vooch, that's on an expiring deal, with Lonzo, the knowledge that Lonzo Ball is basically never coming back probably at that point. And you were like, yeah, no, we're not going to get into the trade market for point guard. I can't get a Mike Conley. I can't get I just want a point. Like, I'm not even asking for the best point. I don't care about having a, like, just give me a point.
I'm going to play
devil's. Gonna be here for a while.
I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a second. Because a name that you mentioned, because we did get Pat Bev, and we got him without having to give up assets. A Mike Conley, Fred VanVleet, a Trey Jones, those players are available in free agency this offseason. So I'm going to ask you this. If AK does get one of those point guards with true cap space without giving up any future first or second round picks this offseason, does it reframe how you view his non-activity at the trade deadline?
Well, I never have a problem with it because I didn't think that we were one piece away.
That's fair.
Right. I was irritated that we did nothing because it was very much like you stood pat. I thought, hey, you got to go after a big man or some shooters. Realistically, I knew we need a point guard, right? Like, that was the thing we needed most. But the names on the list weren't sexy.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'll say is coming into this offseason, are you going to address it? Because here's the thing. We're saying the same thing we said last year. We're still talking about shooters. We're still talking about point guard play. We're still talking about big men.
Or we can bring in Brittany Renner and she'll up the morale of the team instantly. They playing a little lighter out there.
Oh, God. It's amazing we still have a show.
Oh, man, I know, right?
That was good. That was good.
Hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, hopefully AK cannot. You got to make your money again this offseason. We've seen now this team struggle. We've seen how this team look with a point guard. We saw how your $215 million investment in Zach LaVine plays more like a $215 million player when he has a point guard next to him. So what do you got to do? You got to figure it out by hell or high water how to bring a point guard to this team. We need size too. But, okay, let me ask you this before we go on this and move on to Bulls Fest. Which one's more important? Point guard or size? Point guard. Okay.
Because when you look at the point guard position, right, and I'm talking about, listen, we've talked about this. Pat Bev is not a top 10 point guard in the NBA. He's probably not top 20 if we being 100% honest, right? But what he is he's a leader of this team. He's a guy that can take the reins of this team and point them in the right direction. We didn't have that with Ayo Dosunmu lead at the helm, right? Ayo, very young player playing with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic. He's going to listen to what his vets are telling him to do. Patrick Williams, very much the same way, right? So Pat Bev was able to come in and be like, yeah, no, that sounds great and all of that, but no, I'm the one that's running the show with me being here now, and I'm going to tell y'all who's going to be the best player on this team. Your point guard is the most important thing because it accentuates what your shooting guard can do. I think of it in the sense of what's the want we have for Justin Fields. Justin Fields can throw the ball. He can't catch the ball. He can't block for himself. So you have to put pieces around that guy to make sure that he has the best opportunity to be the best version of him, which is a really freaking good player. That's the same way with Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine shouldn't be out here worrying about, I got to facilitate. I got to sit here and play the passing lanes. I got to sit here and be the best defender on the court. I got to sit here and be right. Like there's a lot of issues with this team that we just were like, Zach LaVine's worth $215 million. What are you going to do? And it's not what we paid him to do. Yeah. I feel like that's Chicago's problem. We go out there and pay mugs and then get upset when they're not doing things we didn't ask them to do.
Agreed.
To get that money.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. And hopefully AK is up to the task. You got to get busy. And so we'll see it. But talking about we'll see it, people can see us this year. Bulls Fest going down. Bulls Summer Fest yet again, bro. We were out there last year. We did get noticed by a few people, but it is what it is.
We're going to be out there.
Hey, yeah, we're going to be out there. We may even have a show out there, but keep it moving.
We got maybe it's just a booth or something. Yeah,
it is what it is. We're just gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it at that. But going down August 12th through the 13th. How you feeling about Bulls? Me and you, I think we both walked away last year from Bulls Fest saying that we saw the solid foundation laid for what could be a great weekend. They got some things they needed to tighten up on. I would say one of the things is the tournament. We didn't even know where or when to go watch certain, the 3-on-3 tournaments. They need to tighten that up. The dunk contest was very exciting. It was probably the best event of the weekend. But I do think that they just got some things that they needed to do to make it a little bit more of an event. But how much are you looking forward to Bulls Fest this year?
I am. I'm excited to see how they're going to improve on it. Last year, the concert was really dope. The dunk contest was very, very entertaining. It was better than the NBA dunk contest. I know we left last year saying that, right? I think the 3-on-3 needs to be a more of a locked down event, kind of like I like the idea of an open, like anybody sign up, bring your 3 best players and all of that. But are you going to get like 3 entertaining hoopers? Are you going to get 3 guys that are going to go out there and, show what Chicago ball is? Like, I think you need to go out and you need to almost recruit for this type of event, right? And that's probably not going to happen this year. It's still open sign up.
Yeah.
But this is something where I would have a guy, weirdly enough, right? A scout that's just out there and just like, hey, would y'all want to come play at this event? Have your teams there. Something that people can build around, something that people can get excited for. Oh, they won last year. They're coming back this year. Let's see this again, right? So, but outside of that, man, I love the event. Maybe have some more vendors in that mug. I mean, with the Chicago Bulls out there, right? Like, it was like a 3-1-2 card, a taco truck, and I
the empanada truck was fire, though.
The empanada truck was a banger.
The empanada truck was fire. I'm not even going to hold you.
You was on with that. On with that.
Yeah,
a little expensive though, but it was Bulls Fest. But
it was like $12 for one empanada. It's like $12
empanada. I was I'm gonna eat later. Didn't we go out to eat after that? We did go out to eat. We went to Portillo's.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But even just having like the beer cart out there and having that ability with the vendors and stuff like that. I love the art function they had at the front. I want to see kind of I just want to see how it's going to build up. I think there's a ton that the Bulls can do. It just kind of has to continue to grow and continue to be added on. Like this is something that could become one of the biggest events of the year in Chicago.
I agree with that, especially in time in the summer where there's not a lot going on. People want to get outdoors. It was peaceful. There wasn't anything crazy going on out there. And I do think that it can start being one of those dates that you have to pencil in on your calendar during the summer and just go and just enjoy it, man. And it's not even necessarily just to do with the Bulls or basketball. It was nice to take pictures with players and the GM and the personalities and things like that. But I think even more so just the sense of community, right? And Chicago needs and thrives in that situation. So it was fun out there. I won't necessarily say I need to have food the level of the taste, but it needs to be close. They need to improve those food carts a little bit.
Yeah, the food carts a little bit, because I think that brings the people out, man. You eat and you're sitting there chopping it up. And I think like you said, just that level of everybody doing something together. There needs to be something, right? Like the concert is cool, but like even then you kind of just stick it to yourself. There needs to be, I'm not sitting here saying I got the answer. I'd love to be one of the people on the brain trust on that, though. You know what I mean? Just let me know.
And include more Chicago creators, bro. Like real talk. It was nice seeing who was out there. There were a couple out there. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you need more of us out there, bro. You need us. You need a Matt and Big Dave. You need a couple of more Chicago creators out there.
Yeah, definitely need to bring some of the content creators for the Bulls out there, man. I mean, we saw Melissa out there, of course. Ramina was out there. Shout out to them, man.
But I mean involved in the event. Like there were a lot out there intending, but I mean involved.
That's true. That's true. There was a lot of people that's a great point. That's really how you do it too. Because I say this, I went to that watch party and it was a community. Like you don't realize how much of a Bulls community it really is. It was a community out there, man. So like just including everybody in the event, including and getting the people involved that can include everybody in the event. That would really take it to the next level. Actually, that's a great point there.
Yeah. Involve those creators out there, man. Let's make this an event. But hey, I got nothing left, bro. What about you?
Man, hey, nothing. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. You can follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls. And if you're in Charlotte, you can follow Brittany Renner. Never mind. But yeah, that's pew, 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 pew.
I heard every time there's an over $3,000 deposit made in the bank account, Brittany Renner shows up. But anyway, you guys can follow me at CEO Haize, the CEO Haize. Thank you so much for making Locked On Bulls your first listen today. Now for your second listen, go and check out Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls.